very appalling living condition our staff is living in, they have remained committed to provide life-saving services to the population in Gaza.
And now that we're seeing Palestinian communities in Lebanon increasingly affected, again, a year into this, what message do you have to UNRWA staff that's here in Lebanon that is facing similar challenges that their colleagues have been facing in Gaza?
I mean, the staff comes also from the community. They are sharing exactly the same plight than the community, and this is certainly what is also giving us an edge, because you know, there is nothing more rewarding than being part of a community that you can serve, especially at a time of deep danger and deep crisis. And for this, again, I'm very proud of what the staff here in Lebanon can provide and undertake with the community.
And two more questions. One is about Lebanon. You were here, I believe, also earlier this year. I think when the funding constraints were, there were fears that it would affect your operations in Lebanon and the camps here, and that was kind of the biggest question at the time was, will we be able to continue operating, doing the basic educational, hygiene, healthcare, etc. that we can, that the services that you provide for Palestinians in the camps, and now the situation is much more dire than that. It's way beyond an issue of just funding. And so, what are your messages also to the Lebanese officials that you have been meeting or are set to meet in Lebanon in these 2 days?
During these 2 days, I came also with a message of solidarity with Lebanese authorities, but the Lebanese people, but also a message to say that I acknowledge the extraordinary difficult time in which we are including UNRWA and the Palestinian refugees, but more than ever, we will redouble our effort to address the challenges the community is confronted with now. It is true that the agency is confronted to an existential threat. A year ago, it was primarily a financial existential threat, but today it's a combination of a political and financial threat. 2025 will be again a difficult year. It will also be a difficult year because a certain number of donors have indicated that they will enter into an austerity budget period, which will also impact their ability to contribute to the agency. But on the other hand, I have also seen this year an extraordinary solidarity from the Global South. We have been able to broaden our donor base. More countries have contributed, and I have also seen an extraordinary solidarity from the people, from individuals who have never ever contributed as much as they have done this year with the agency. Obviously, it does not compensate the lack of big donor contribution like the United States, but it's also an indication on how of a solidarity which goes beyond the region.
And we have to ask about the Nobel Peace Prize, because there was a candidacy for UNRWA and for the agency, and ultimately it went to Nihon Hidankyo, the Japanese grassroots movement for atomic bomb survivors. So we wanted to get your reaction to this. Were you hoping to be the recipient of the award, and what is your message to the winners?
I think it's a great choice to have an organization basically fighting, struggling, and to make sure that the world remains a free world of nuclear weapon. This risk is a constant. We have seen also that the world is going in uncharted direction, and there is always a risk that this kind of mass destructive weapon be used. So I believe that this will certainly be a good choice to remind that the world is still not free from a nuclear weapon. Now, yes, an agency like ours has been nominated by other partners. It would certainly have been also a great message for the Palestinian refugees community, but I do believe that if we look at the impact worldwide beyond the region, the choice of eradicating and the risk the nuclear weapon is certainly a good one.
Perfect.
J'aurais besoin de 5 minutes. Discuter entre vous pour faire un plan de coupe.
On discute.
Great.
Comme ça, vous pouvez pratiquer votre français.
Oh non, mais non, je préfère pas.
Non, pas d'accord.
Okay, let me just check this down. I'm.
Okay. Was it okay?
Yes, it was fantastic.
Well, Sash, c'était okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah? Okay, good.
I mean, it is. It has been quite kind of. Your visit also is timed at a moment where we're all looking at the attacks on UNIFIL that have been taking place as well. We now have 3 days in a row where we've seen UNIFIL forces in southern Lebanon attacked. And so when you were discussing, the kind of, the possible breakdown or the ramifications of having UN agencies that are caught in the crossfire or that are actually possibly even intentionally targeted. And what that does, I mean, there are parallels now that we're seeing in Lebanon, possibly in a different sense, with the last few days in particular, which is, I mean, how?
No, there are a number of parallels. There is absolutely no doubt. The question is, how far will this parallel go? I really hope that we are not following the path Gaza has gone through, because Gaza has been reduced. Into rubble. Gaza, it's a kind of today I describe it as a wasteland. It has become totally unlivable. I mean, people are just daily confronted to struggle to avoid death, disease, and hunger. Nothing else, basically. And people have been pushed into 10% of the territory where it was already considered before the war as one of the most densely populated area, and then they are down to 10% of this area. En français, je dirais, on les a parqués. Ils sont parqués. No, you cannot have a future with this. It's not possible.
And in Lebanon, I mean, there were camp areas that were designated specifically for Palestinians for decades. So now that they have had to move to other areas, are there concerns? I mean, it's a very tense, I think, time for Lebanon's social fabric in general, and Palestinians are vulnerable.
Well, it goes beyond the Palestinian issue in Lebanon right now. As you say, it's a tense. So I mean, it might open a new area which might have an impact on the Lebanese social fabric. How? No one really knows, but everyone can feel that something might, happen. Happen for the best, for the worst, or for more difficult before it's better. No one really knows. Your guess is my guess. So on this one, I don't want to speculate. But it is true that in this environment we have the Palestinian question also. Within the country. I remember when I was here in 2015, I was here 2015, 2020, as a UN coordinator for the agency and so on. And I remember in 2017 there was a census about the Palestinian population, because there was always a belief in the country that we have 500,000 Palestinians, which in reality is much less. There was also a belief, the Palestinian presence had also impact on some laws in country. For example, the nationality law that a Lebanese cannot get from the mother was partly and politically justified by the large presence of 500,000 Palestinian refugees, because for the other communities, since they might all marry a Lebanese woman, it would be a tsunami of one community, and that would have an important impact. And I remember when we did this study, we came out trickling down, with just 300-400 Palestinian refugees married to Lebanese, which obviously does not have the same impact than if we are talking about 500,000. So when we bring after that this rational discussion to the legislators, they all sounded to agree, but they say now it's too late because we have the Syria. So we are back to square one. But,
so it's the cycles repeating themselves in Lebanon.
Repeating,
Yeah. And have you sensed anything so far that there have been kind of, at least a kind of sensitivity or
I haven't seen so far, but I have sensed some fear that this might become a problem. Now we will see how this unfolds, but Palestinian refugees in the country have been discriminated, obviously, we all know that's an understatement.
Disenfranchised
and discriminated, and they did not really mingle with the rest of the population. Now, with all this movement of population, with the war, I would expect communities to remain among themselves, but we never know how the population will react also. But that's beyond the Palestinian refugees. Anyway.
Yeah.
We go back to what you said, the impact on that.
And do you have any sense that any Palestinian refugees have gone to Syria for any, have crossed over into Damascus?
We might have few, but very few Palestinian refugees from Syria who were in Lebanon who might have gone. But even on this one, we don't have the statistic.
Okay. And is that also a concern? Just the last question, just so I can keep listening busy. Also, is that also a concern that eventually, it become increasingly hard? Good aid operations are usually based on good data. So if you have people that are spread out everywhere, you don't know where they are, you can't access them, etc.
We do have good data because every Palestinian refugees are registered with us. We have the entire family data, medical data. We have the data of the grandparents. So if there is an organization having updated data on who we serve, it's certainly UNRWA. Why? Because we are a direct service provider, and in a certain extent, we were acting as the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education of the Palestinian refugees. So we have all this data.
Okay. Great.
Tamam? Good. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much. I imagine you have a very busy, very busy couple of days.
And politically, nothing's taking place here.
No? Oh no. It's an absolutely.
C'est le désert, non?
It's not just that. I think it's also the fact that there is a complete crisis on decision. There was a crisis on decision making in the country, and the lines that had been established between lines of communication between Hezbollah and the Lebanese government were there, but they were also sometimes a bit foggy. And now, given the killing of many of the top leadership in Hezbollah, it becomes increasingly difficult for us as a news agency to get accurate information about where how decisions are being made and where they're being made, and
what the state of the movement and so on.
Yeah. The camera. Are we still live?
No, we are not.
Turn off.
We were not live. Were we live?
We were live for the edits to go quickly, but I think we're.
Okay. But we were live, but that was not part of the interview.
This one just now, no.
No, but what we discussed after when you were just taking footage.
No.
You mean, about your past time in Lebanon.
Yes.
No, because it was just to have extra shots. Nassim, can we turn?
Channel down live, please.
Oh.
Anyway, complete.
Yeah, it's very it's a very complicated time, I think, for all of us to operate. I know that many as well. Nassim, can we just turn the light off? Then it's even bothering me.